What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. I am your host, Justin Harold, and with me, as always, my co-host, Jeff Santa. Today, we are bringing you some rare Browns news. Yes, I know the draft is over. Training camp is coming up, but right now, we've got the schedule is released. We know our opponents, and now we know the dates, the times. Well, we don't really know the times, but we know the locations. Jeff, we're gonna get into it. It's a weird one. It's certainly a weird one, and
Super
other
weird.
teams around the league have weird schedules as well, potentially unprecedented schedules as well. But yeah, we're gonna have to get right into this one. Jeff, Brad Stainbrook tweeting out this graphic here. I don't know if you're capable of pulling it up unless we found a better one,
We'll put it
but
up. I'll put it on screen.
yeah, let's pull up on screen real quick. Games are highlighted in orange for home and white in away. Looking at it right now, you've got really an awful start to the season. Not an ideal one, but
Not an ideal bye week. What's up with the bye week?
the bye week is horrendous. That's to be told. I mean, week 5 couldn't be any worse. You literally get nothing out of that because injuries happen late in this season. 17 games and you're making a week 5 bye. It just doesn't make sense. Just doesn't make sense. But let's talk about week 1, Jeff. Obviously, home against the Bengals. What are you thinking here?
I'm cool with week 1. I'm cool with week 1 being a divisional game. I'm actually, the more I look at it, the more I'm fine with the divisional games being at the front because they've done the AFC North so backloaded the past 3 years. It feels like maybe even longer than that.
Yeah.
Where we're done with the well, besides the Bengals being week 18, we are done with the division week 11.
Yeah.
So
you know what route you have to take to the playoffs by then, probably.
that's interesting for sure. And I have you got to go back and look at numbers. Like, what's Stefanski's record before week 11 versus after week 11? That could be an interesting thing to look at because, I mean, it's not exactly even, obviously, but even like his record up to week 9 versus the second half of the season, because we're going to have to play good football the first 11 weeks of the year. And then after that, it's not like we can't play good football, but I feel like our best football needs to be played the first half of the schedule.
Yeah. Well, I want to say the start of the seasons have always been pretty good on his part, and then we teeter out.
Right. That's fair.
Because last year was bad. We definitely did not play well in the last half of the season. And especially the year before that, when we really need to be winning games at the end of the season, we did not do that. So,
but even look at like that last column, week 13. Rams is NFC game is NFC. Jaguars are that's an AFC team that is going to be competitive. Bears are NFC. Texans is really truly should be one of the easier games on the schedule, even though you're on the road. And then you have AFC team with the Jets on prime time, and then you have another AFC game. But even those 6 games, it's like, I mean, the Jaguars, the Jets, and the Bengals, only a couple of them are. It's not that I'm scared of any of those teams, really, because you got to play teams in your division. I'm not scared of the Jets. I will be saying this all year. I'm not scared of the Jets. And the Jaguars, did they have a good season last year? Sure. Will they be able to replicate that? Don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the back half of the season is certainly, a lot easier to look at. You're not wrong. The first 4 weeks suck, and then even after that,
the first 4 weeks are not that bad. You have 3 games at home. The Titans, who's their quarterback?
That's the only one that I'm like okay with, though.
I mean, Steelers.
All these
on
other
the road,
teams, we know all these other teams have our number. That's
my issue is that, I mean, if I were to agree with you, my issue is that it's not that far. It's not far fetched that we are 0-2. It's really not.
At the beginning of the season?
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying, though. Like
but at least you get 3 out of 4 games at home.
That's 0-2 in your division, though.
Oh yeah, that's
right off the
terrible.
rip.
You have to go to, well, I mean, if we're talking first four, you got to go 2-2 in those games. And I'd prefer two
And it
wins to be
has to be
AFC.
against it. Yeah.
Yes, even if you lose to the Titans, if you win 2 out of 3 games, Bengals,
It's
Steelers, and
divisional.
Ravens,
Yeah.
that's a great start to the season.
Yeah. I mean, we can go through it once we're like done, just like kind of looking at it from afar before we go game by game. But I don't know. That's a stinker of a 4 games. But I don't know. So did you say this? I'm sorry. Did you say this on live or no about the West Coast games and what Stefanski requested?
So according to sources, Kevin Stefanski requested that our West Coast games be back-to-back weeks, and clearly that request was denied because we play
Right.
at Seattle week 8, and then we play at the Rams week 13. So apparently that request has been granted before, but I don't know how they juggle that with other teams making similar requests. Like who gets priority over, what if a West Coast team wants to stay out east for 2 games? You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of interesting. I've never heard of that though. Interesting idea. I mean, you might as well ask, but
Yeah, just looking down the list though, and I'm just looking at it. Bengals, Ravens, 49ers, Seahawks. I mean, shit. On my list, there's only like 4 or 5 playoff teams. Of course, 2 of them are in the division with us, so you have to play them twice.
Sure.
So you got at least 8 games with playoff teams that we know of,
Right.
or not that we know of, but teams that I would consider that they were in the playoffs or are playoff contenders. It's and I sent Jeff the graphic strength of schedule, which he even made a point on, and isn't the greatest, um, representative of competition, but still, Browns ranking at like 26, so one of the easier schedules in the NFL for this season. Of course, they finished 4th in the division, so they end up with 4th division opponents, which obviously lands you the Texans, lands you the Bears. I believe it lands you also the Colts and one other stinker of a team. I'm not so sure which one though, but very interesting. Jeff, just in terms of talking about this team and the schedule, this has got to be a year where you make the playoffs based off of the schedule and the team that you have around you.
100%. Now, I will say, all right, my 2 favorite games, I think, just like as far as we get the biggest advantage from, I think is week 6 against the 49ers because we are terrible in San Francisco. So that game's at home. That's cool. You know that better than anybody. And then week 17 against the Jets. Those are my 2 favorite games on the schedule looking at it right now. But what makes me nervous, and we've said this for years, what makes me nervous is that the teams who we should beat that I'm looking at on the schedule are all road games. And road games are so hard to win. You could be playing the worst team in the league. Road games are hard. You have the Colts on the road. You have the Rams on the road. You have the Broncos on the road. You have the Texans on the road. I'm not a huge fan of that.
Yeah.
I actually that's my least favorite part. Like the Cardinals at home, that's a game you should win. The Bears at home, that's a game you should win. The Titans at home, that's probably a game you should win. That's like 4 games right there, which is kind of cool. And then Texans is a game you should win. You really shouldn't lose to the Rams, but you're on the road, and you really shouldn't lose to the Colts. So I'm kind of looking at 6 or 7 games that we are going to be the favorite at, even though we're on the road or at home. But it's not that cut and dry in the NFL. We know that.
Yeah. I don't know that I can't get past the first 4 weeks. That's my no okay zone. Like I'm not happy about it. I don't like it. I really love that there's no big huge lineup of home games and a big huge lineup of away games, because you don't get too comfortable at home and then you don't get too jet lagged and screwed up on back-to-back away games or back-to-back away games. So Jeff, do you want to go game by game, or do you want to save that for another upload? Or What do you think?
We could probably say that for another upload. But what I do like about the West Coast games is that we're home after both of them. So we're Seahawks, then we're at home against Arizona. Rams, we have 2 games in a row at home.
Yeah.
And week 14, and this is going to be controversial. That's interesting because Jacksonville, not that it's warm in December in Jacksonville anyway, but they have to come to us.
Yeah.
So interesting weather. There's going to be a lot of monitor here, a lot of weather games going on as well. Same way with Arizona. Arizona coming to us November 5th is a lot different than playing in Arizona in November.
Yeah, those last 5 games are going to be pretty huge just because you start off like if you just look at it from coming back home, whatever happens with the Rams, either hopefully you win that game, but like you said, winning away games are tough. You know, that's the start of like, all right, week 14, you're looking ahead. What is the division looking at? All right, well, you have our division games early. You're only 1 left at the end of the season, so you know if that's your ticket in or if it's not, and you're going through the wild card, whatever it may be. Jaguars, obviously a team that could be fighting for a wild card or for their division, who knows? And then you get 2, what I would say, like you would say, Jeff, I think 2 games that you should win. You get the Bears at home and the Texans away.
That's good momentum into the Jets primetime game.
Exactly. And again, Jets on potential winning their division or going through the wild card. And then the Bengals, obviously, another division and another, wild card opponent. The AFC's screwed. Like it's gonna be competitive,
it's gonna be fun.
It could be crazy, and some teams could just completely land it and hit it off, and other teams could just be fighting for it tooth and nail all the way through the season. Hopefully that's not us. I would like a season where we don't have to do that, but we are the Browns, and I have to live through this every year. So
hey, if we're 1-3 to start, you have an early bye week to get the coaching change situated week 5. So I mean, am I wrong? I'm not wrong. If we're 1-3, he's out after week 4, and you get 2 weeks, you get 14 days of prep for the interim, whoever is promoted or whatever. Prefer, Prefer's gone. Sorry, Bubba Ventrone. Forgot Prefer has our only
Jim Schwartz.
That's what I'm saying.
That would be the Greg Williams of the Hugh Jackson year,
Prefer our only playoff winner, but like even let's just say 4 weeks or 1-3. I think he probably should be fired, but doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at that point who comes up.
No, I mean it would probably be Schwartz, in my opinion. But
maybe
there's no way they put Van Pelt at head coach, right?
I don't know.
That would be so
maybe.
All right, well, we've gotten pretty off topic, but we're going to call it there. That's the schedule. Let us know what you guys are thinking about it. What do you think is the worst stretch of games? I'm pretty sure it's that first 4 games into the bye week, but let us know in the comment what you guys think. Make sure you're liking. Make sure you're subscribing. We're going to try to get some more content out here soon. Make sure you're looking out for our Cavs stuff coming up soon as well. And with that all being said, we'll get you guys in the next one. Peace.